In order for you to get what you want, you are going to have to be non-compromising from the beginning of the relationship with the principles that you say are important to you. Point blank, end of story, period. Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you guys so much for joining me. This is the week. Yep. This is the week, and we are back here with hair and makeup because it's cooling down, so I am not like melting in my chair, but you're not here for all of those details. You are here for the topic, okay? How to get what you want, how to get that ring. I'm a single ladies, I'm a single ladies, I'm a single. I haven't had my martini yet, but yet. Look, so I was talking to a couple of young ladies about this topic because I was once a single mother. You have what it takes to be a single mother. And I was once very, 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 very single. And I talk about how I met my husband on my channel and how I ended up here in Germany. And, a lot of the times when I share that story with some of my single friends, who I think, I'm not one of those people that would be like, oh yeah, girl, you look good. No, you don't look fat. I don't think that I am that type of person that will delude my friends into thinking that they're something that they're not. And that's why I don't have that many friends. No, I find that I am quite honest with my female friends, especially my female friends who come to me for dating advice. The number one thing that I advise women, like I did in the beginning of this video, is to not compromise on the principles, sorry, the principles and the standards which you want to establish in your relationship. Those things need to be established from the beginning. And I think that I feel like a broken record when I say this because I always tell people that it is super important to get clear before you get into a relationship about what it is you want. Understanding what it is you want means that you actually have to take the time out to practice self awareness long enough to be able to understand how you tick, what works, what doesn't. All right. So that may seem quite simple. It isn't. I have been dumped, abused, misused, badmouthed, stalked, ghosted, you name it, it has happened to me. Okay. I have not just arrived on the scene. But something dramatic had to happen for me, as it does with most people, and that is a neurological scientific thing where people usually pay attention to the lessons when it is strong enough and emotional enough that they cannot forget when that thing happened the way it did. What happens then, what happens afterwards, really depends on the type of person you are in terms of your level of self awareness. In my opinion, that's my opinion. But the rest of that is actually science. It's not me talking to her. And so, one thing that I realized when I got the lesson, the emotional lesson, was that I was doing something wrong. I kept on getting the same result, and I did not know exactly what it is that I needed to do differently in order to receive different results. And so, that meant that I had to become one, something that I was not, and two, seek advice from people that I wanted what they had. And this wasn't quite easy because, as you know, in our communities, 72% of women are single mothers and they are doing the same kind of dating scheme as the other person. And so there are very few women out there who actually are doing the things that are getting them the results that they wanted. So when I found someone who I could emulate in my relationship, this person was from a completely different generation and a completely different time. And she had the kind of relationship that I absolutely did not want. Her husband was everything to her except nice, or so it may have seemed to me at the time. So then it came to me that in my analogy with my limited understanding of marriage and relationships, that relationships and marriage were about suffering. And the suffering that was being done was mostly on the part of the woman. And so I didn't want that. So I started to think about the kinds of things that I did want. Maybe I could get them. Maybe I couldn't get them. But I made a plan A and a plan B and a plan C and a plan Z. So if I didn't get that, how many things would I be willing to give up in order for me to have? What are the basic minimum criteria? And do not stray away from that criteria, because that criteria dictates what you absolutely cannot live without, or what you absolutely cannot tolerate. And a lot of the times, this is where things get tricky, because we slowly start to change our mind because we become what we think is closer and closer and closer to the ideal. We think that. But what actually happens is that we begin to marry ourselves off to the idea of being with a particular person, rather than focusing on actually getting the criteria as close to what it is we want as possible. We meet a guy. He's nice. He's rich. He's good looking. He sees you once a month when he's in town, and he drops, like, leaves in the middle of the night and doesn't tell you that he's gone until the next day. Well, can I live with that? Yeah, sure I can. Baby, then you need to be single for the rest of your life. We meet a guy. He's not good looking. He's well off financially. He works very hard. And he vacations once a year with his family, blah blah blah. He has no children, and he has his own home. Can we live with that? He's just too boring. And we never tend to think or look at what it is that we're actually trying to accomplish in our long-term relationships. Like, there, you can't have it all. And I think that that was one of the things that it was extremely hard for me to be able to have to be honest with people who asked me about this kind of topic, um with, is that you can't have it all. Like, you're going to have to give up some things, and you're going to have to prioritize your list according to the things that are absolutely most important to you and your personal happiness, but your own personal stability. And stability is something that is very difficult for a lot of women in the Black community to be able to identify, because a lot of us don't come from stability. More than 60% of us come from instability and single parent households. So we don't even know how men are or how they behave. And men actually use that to their advantage. I can get into the whole the man playbook and how it works, and why it is we keep on picking the guy who is the player. There's actually a formula for this in terms of psychological human behavior, and how most men don't actually get to the women they actually that will most women don't actually get the man that will actually treat them well, because good guys actually tend to take longer to approach a woman, because their approach is for life. And the guy who approaches you with ease, grace, and swag is usually a guy who has practiced that line with 10 women that day, all day, every day, for the past 365 days. So the chances of that line working, and the chances of the amount of women that he will get with that line, are much higher than the guy who focuses directly on you, but you're too busy waiting to be swept off your feet. The guys who sweep people off their feet are the ones who are sweeping everybody off their feet. And that's why in most communities, over 30% of the children are being fathered by only, no, most of the children that are being fathered in the community are not being fathered by the man they're raising, that is raising them. If that makes sense to you. Do I need to clarify that? I got a lot of stuff going on in my head, and I tend to not speak fast enough to keep up with my brain. My brain goes way ahead of my mouth. So yeah, ADHD. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. This is definitely something that you want to be able to consider in your dating style. and compromising on the right things will put you further than um those who want to stick to their list. Those women will probably end up dying alone. And I feel for them, because nobody wants to do that, right? Not really. I hope you guys enjoyed my content. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Please, if you can, stay safe and stay free.